Welcome to a special episode of the Pull List Examiner. While I have my recording equipment out for my weekly show, I decided I'd record an extra video that walked through my Memorial Day comic book haul that I just had. Honestly, I can't believe some of the deals I got this past week. Nothing that is like super crazy, like I didn't pick up some amazing fantasy issue number 15 or anything like that, but I found some really cool comics at both 2nd and Charles and one of my other local comic shops that I frequent, Comic City. Check them out at their website. I think it's comiccity.com. And I will try to post the deals that I got this week, because at Comic City they were doing a gradual reduction of percentage of pricing with every day leading up to Memorial Day. So it started at like 50% and then it was 60%, and I think there was 65%, 75. But anyways, then over at 2nd and Charles they did this buy 5 get 5 comic sale. It was a pretty fun event to go dig through the boxes at 2nd and Charles, and it was pretty fun to pick up the stack of comics that I got over at Comic City when I got these great deals. So my 2nd and Charles run actually was over the course of 2 days. I was able to visit on one day, and then a couple days later got to visit again because we just happened to be driving in the area, and so I actually got to dig through the boxes for, I don't know, maybe an hour on one day and a half hour on the other day. So if you've never been to 2nd and Charles, there's 2 in my area and they're very different. So I would imagine that every location is probably its own kind of entity and has its own characteristics, personality, if you want to call it that. And at the location that I found in my area that seems to have more comics available, I could probably sit there and dig through the boxes for 4 to 8 hours and not make it through all of them, or at least close to it. But with that said, usually what I do is I find a couple sections and just focus on it, dig through the boxes and see what I get, and this is what I got. So day one, I spent $15, and the first thing I got was the entire run of what's called the Murdoch Papers. This is a Brian Michael Bendis written, and I think Alex Maleev does the art. Yep. And if you're not familiar with this run, this is also the run that a lot of people try to collect the Echo comic from, but it caught my eye because it was the entire run of that story, issues 76 through 81, so I could actually read through an entire story. And they were listed at $3 each, and with the 2nd and Charles 5 for 5 sale, if you grab 10 comics, and they're all $3 each, which these just all happen to be, you end up with $15 worth of comics. So for $15, I got that, but I also got these 3 comics, which are probably the more collectible. I know these are not worth a large sum of money, but I want to say something around the neighborhood of probably $5 each when they're in good shape. These all happen to be in good shape. These also were marked at $3 each. It's the first 3 issues of Civil War, and I was pretty impressed to find them all together. And that's kind of the thing I've noticed a lot of times digging through the boxes there, is that you get like, some boxes are totally random, but a lot of them have like these little chunks of runs together. So that was kind of cool to pick up issues 1 through 3. I guess that means now I have to go find the rest of the series though. I'll have to keep an eye out for it. But Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, pretty cool. And then the other one that I picked up on that first day was a X-Men issue number 1. It's actually the Astonishing X-Men. This is that run that was written by Joss Whedon, and what caught my eye is that this is a Gabriel Dell'Otto cover, which he was doing around that time, and it's a Wolverine Dell'Otto cover, and I collect Dell'Otto covers, so I picked this up. So essentially all of these comics were $1.50 because of the sale. And now let's go into the other day, which I feel like was a little more, that was kind of more fun for reading. This other stack of comics I think was more for the collectible side. So I'll just go through real quick here. I'll start with, I found a couple old Green Lantern issues because I collect a lot of Green Lantern. I did not have this issue 209. It's a random issue. It's, I think, probably something you will find in many dollar bins, and it was marked 95 cents. With the sale, I think I got it for 50 cents. This is issue 194, which I now think I have 2 or 3 copies of. Oh, there's a fight in here between Guy Gardner and John Stewart, and I think that causes this to be considered like a key issue over at Key Collector. Either way, it's got like a $5 price tag on it. This issue does have some spine ticks, probably not in mint condition there. And then I am a big fan of the Murphyverse, if you've watched my shows, but I've never actually collected the original White Knight series. I only bought it in trade, and I happened to notice they had a couple issues that were just happened to be together. It was random, issues 5 and 8. So I decided that I would pick them up at $2.95 for issue 5. They had issue 8 listed at $4.95, which was a little steep, but again, they essentially are like half off, so that was still like a $2.50 comic. They're not perfectly mint, but they're still in good shape. And then the next 2 were kind of impulse buys. These are issues number 1 of The Mighty Crusaders and The Comet. Let's see if we can get it good lighting there. These were the Archie characters. They were put out under the name Red Circle Comics Group, and if you haven't watched my show before, I think I've talked about the fact that one of the first comic series I collected when I was a kid was the Impact comics that were put out by, it was actually a sub-label for a while under DC. I think they only did it for about a year or so, but I collected all of them. It was one of my favorite comics as a kid to go to the shop and buy. So looking at these were definitely some nostalgia picks. I had never actually seen these out in the wild and decided to grab both of them. I think there were a few other Red Circle comics in the box, but I decided just to go with these 2. They were in the best shape, so probably not worth much from a collecting standpoint. I don't know for sure. And then this one, I don't know if this is considered Golden Age or Silver Age, but it was just something I saw as I was flipping, and I did a quick eBay scan to see if it was actually worth something, and there were copies on eBay going some for $30, some for $60, and I decided it was just a cool looking issue. It's called Unknown Worlds. It's issue number 9. And I looked it up. I think it came out in 1961. So that's a pretty old comic with a 10-cent price tag on it. And either way, I kind of am just curious to read it to see what we get from Unknown Worlds from 1961. I'm hoping for some Twilight Zone type material there. And then I saved the last 2, which I think are the best, for last. Number 1 is I found Astro City issue number 1. This is Kurt Busiek. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly there. And Alex Ross did the covers for this series, and I didn't really become familiar with it until recently. The comic shop, Comic City, that I'm going to talk about in the next segment, actually had a nameplate autographed by Kurt Busiek and also Alex Ross with the most recent re-released trade paperback of Astro City, and I started to read some of it. It's pretty good. It's like another kind of more realistic take on superheroes, but anyways, they had a $4.95 price tag, and I think this is worth somewhere in the range of like $10 to $12 from a collecting standpoint, so that was just kind of a cool find, considering I paid probably $2.50. And then this one, if you are a Star Wars fan, you are probably familiar with this. This was the very, at least for a while, hot comic Darth Vader issue number 20 variant of The Mandalorian and Grogu, which I believe is their first cover appearance on a comic book. And it sold out of my comic shop originally, and I ended up buying it online and paid somewhere between $15 and $20 because I just wanted one copy. And then I stumbled onto this, and it had a $5 price tag, so I paid like $2.50 for that. So I thought that was a pretty good buy. And ironically, I got another copy. I'll show you why in a second. Let's go to the next segment. So now we're going to take a look at the variants that I picked up from local comic shop Comic City that had a variant sale over Memorial Day weekend. And some of the variants are ratio variants. Actually, a lot of them are, and just things that I normally can't pick up because I'm not going to drop, you know, $40, $50 on a single comic. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to fit that into the budget. So I did pick up a handful of ratio variants here that I'll share, and I think, I'm looking through here real quick, I'm pretty sure most of them are ratio variants. Some are just standard variants. So let me go through a few of these real quick with the standard variants first. So ironically, from my last segment, they also had this Darth Vader 20 variant on sale, so I actually got another copy. So I now own 3 copies of that. Kind of by mistake, not really, but kind of cool that I was able to grab another copy. And by the way, I believe I paid, I'll try to put the prices as I go through these up on the screen on one of these sides here, but how much did I pay? I want to say I paid like $3 or $4 for that. And then same thing, I got 2 Green Lantern variants that I didn't have yet. One was a variant from Suicide Squad issue number 10. It's got Joe Mullins on the front. Great coloring here. I think it's done by Bonneville maybe, but the artist was Chris Wildgoose. But that is a fun cover. And then this is from the Mech series that came out from DC Comics, something I wasn't very interested in, but I thought this was a really cool Hal Jordan, John Stewart cover, and with the sale it was about a $3 purchase. This is the Virgin variant of the Death Dealer series that just got re-released. Frank Frazetta, Death Dealer, and this is the Delato cover. It's kind of hard to see because it's kind of dark here. I don't know if I can get, maybe that's a little better, no. But this cover normally was being sold for at the shop for $20, and I think I paid 75% off, $5 for that. But it was cool to get it as another Delato cover to add to my collection. I'll have to do a Delato video someday. If you are a fan of Twig, you might recognize this cover. This was one of the, I think, 1-for-10 ratio variants. It's the kind of the standard cover, but Virgin format. And this was marked $10 in the shop, and I think I paid $3 for it. approximately. Similar price here, Noctera issue number 7. This is the 1 for 10, done by the artist who goes by Danny. Danny was someone I started following because of the Gotham Arkham Asylum series. I can't remember the full title of the series, but the artwork was real gritty, dynamic looking. I really like the style, and this was a cover that I think I may have actually got the regular cover when it came out, but not this special 1 for 10 ratio. So that's kind of cool as another $3 pickup. And then, oh, this was the second printing of Animal Castle, but it's the sketch variant. I don't know if you can see that. Issue number 1. I was a fan of that series, and because this was the, I think, 1 for 25 second printing is what it was pretty rare, and they had a $40 price tag on it. I believe I paid under $10 for this. I can't remember what percentage off I had, but I'll double check. But another cool cover. They had great artwork in this series. It was very Disney-like in the way that they draw it, and actually I had that on my top 3 not too long ago. That volume 2 just came out. And then lastly, if you've watched the show, I'm a big Zack Kaplan fan, and he had he had several really big series come out last year, and I ended up buying 2 from 2 of those series. Issue number 1 of Metal Society, and this was the 1 for 25 variant that was done by Mark Silvestri. And again, something that I couldn't fit into the budget when it came out, but it has a $25 price tag on it here, and I think that was one of the 75% off ones that I got, so that was a good deal. And then very lastly, I picked up Zack Kaplan's Mindset ratio variants. This is the 1 for 10 that goes for, price tag on here is $10. Again, it's dark, kind of hard to see. That's a little better. But that was a cool cover, kind of a nice pickup. And then this one, I didn't even know was out there. This is a 1 for 50 cover, and they had a price tag of $50. So this was probably the most expensive one of the lot, but I got it for 75% off. So that was another great deal that I was able to pick up and add. And now I believe with the 1 for 50, the 1 for 10, and then I think I had another like 1 for 7 cover that was also done by Danny, and then the regular cover. I think I have all of the Mindset issue number 1 covers. I'll have to go look. And I'll do a quick plug too and say the trade paperback for Mindset came out last week. If you have not read that series, go grab the trade paperback. It was probably the best series that Zack Kaplan wrote last year. Very unique in the artwork style, coupled with a very interesting story about mind control through a phone app. So kind of an interesting take on technology. So with all that said, that was my haul for this past Memorial Day weekend. If you stuck around with me this long, thank you. I know when I do these special episodes where I start going through issue by issue, they seem to take a lot longer than my normal 5-minute to 7-minute top 3 video that I normally do, but I really thought it would be cool to share all of the cool deals that I picked up from Second and Charles and from the Comic City local comic shop, which, by the way, I believe they ship. So if you're interested in cashing in on one of their variant sales like I did, you can go to their website. I'll try and throw a link into the description of this video. So thanks again for watching, and remember to read them, bag them, and board them, and we'll see you on the Pull List Examiner YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.